recap. Yes. Previously on Thriller Thursday, we watched. I want to give the last video because that was just an infinite, an infinite box of pizza. So we had I forgot what it was specifically called, but it was SCP 939. I want to call it a monster, but just I'm calling it a monster. Look at this. It basically mimic voices. I can't really summarize the whole video. Some people got. Not people, but they got separated. They're most definitely smarter than I thought. I thought they were just like reckless, dumbass, creatures, but they're actually pretty intelligent, and they cannot escape. Because if they escape, oh hell, gonna break loose. Their defenses are literally like it's like what 2-inch thick metal layer with covered by like an electric fence or something. Hey, bro, they went all out, and it's like what 4 layers, some shit like that. I'm like, man, I'm not even gonna try to get it. I mean, y'all got it. And we're here, episode 13. This might be 13 or 14. I think it's 13. This might be a 2-parter. I just have a feeling it might be the 2-hour episode. I'm waiting for that shit to pull up, bro. I'm already knowing it's gonna be, that's gonna be something, bro. I'm guessing 17, 18, 18. Okay, 18. Let's see what we get. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, yeah. we're just gonna watch this whole thing. We're gonna watch this whole thing. I thought I seen 2 hours. The flesh that hates. Ooh, can't really ease our way into this whole thing, so we just gotta be prepared, bruh. Get your snacks. I already had my food already. I ain't gonna lie, I demolished my egg sandwich before the stream even started. So I just got my protein shake right here. Drink some water. I need to get some water. Water, no lean. Water, no lean. Come on now. Y'all know the vibe.
Description. Initial reports of SCP-610
Hope you didn't eat today. I mean, should I ate like an hour ago?
Came direct from the Russian government through undisclosable channels. These reports consisted primarily of disappearances of farmers in the region and were not considered until the local police, followed by the regional police, and finally a government-dispatched agent all failed to report in within a 72-hour period. A small military contingent was dispatched to the area and quickly withdrew, at which point the Foundation was contacted to investigate. The area SCP-610 affects are close to Lake Baikal in southern Siberia. Incursions into the perimeter must be reported prior to conducting, confirmed during exploration, and debriefed on immediately following return. SCP-610 appears to be a contagious skin disease at first, with symptoms in
What the hell? Hold on, we might have to move this just so we don't get in front of like the captions and stuff like that. I don't even know what's a good spot every time when it comes to cam placement. We'll see.
Including rash, itching, and increased skin sensitivity. Within 3 hours, the disease will cause blemishes resembling heavy scar tissue to form in the chest and arm areas, spreading to the legs and back within an additional hour, consuming the victim completely within 5 hours. Exposure to higher temperatures vastly decreases.
See, I'm gonna just keep it up here. I'm gonna just keep it up here, bro. I might do this actually.
Is the time for the contagion to spread, and complete infections have been recorded occurring in as little as 5 minutes.
Damn, man.
After the completion of the infection occurs, the victim's life functions will cease for approximately 3 minutes, after which time they will restart at 2 to 3 times the activity rate of a normal human. Following this, the scar tissue on the victims will start to move of its own accord and grow at a rapid rate. Normal human features start to disappear at this point under the infection, and the path of mutation appears to be largely random. Subjects observed in this stage of infection have been recorded as growing 3 or more limbs of a type such as the arms or legs. The head may become misshapen and elongate or widen out, and parts of the subject may split open, from which additional branches of flesh will grow. The duration of this stage of infection is unknown, and not all subjects appear to progress to the later stages. Under unknown conditions, an infected individual will cease moving and place itself in a location it deems suitable where it roots itself. The fleshy growth on the victim will then begin to spread itself across all surrounding objects and consume them. Such objects do not spread the infection as living creatures do, however. It is assumed that this behavior is to create an area hospitable to continued growth of the other infected. Observation of life infected by SCP-610 by staff is impossible. Those infected with the disease immediately seek out aid as natural human impulse, resulting in unintended infections. Those infected past the scar tissue phase actively and aggressively attempt to infect anyone approaching them within an undefined area. It has been established that should an infected be capable of sight and observe an uninfected, it will proceed towards them. If the infected has lost the ability of sight, a range of approximately 30 meters is considered safe. Observation of SCP-610 infected settlements.
I feel like Mutations like these, like, what do we even call them? The mutated flesh. I feel like these are the type of ones that sprint at you, like run at you. Like the Last of Us zombies, like those, or like World War Z, bro. Those they probably run at you like that.
Has been established using artificial methods such as remote robots. The data returned from these observations, coupled with the openly aggressive nature of the infected to attempt to spread SCP-610, has resulted in the Keter classification. However, so long as nothing is allowed to enter or leave the infected areas, it is considered a neutralized threat. Of concern are the cavernous areas beneath the infected settlements that were discovered during the exploration, and attempts to get research personnel into these areas are underway. Special containment procedures. Due to the vast area of infection SCP-610 covers, containment is impossible. Isolation of the area has proved far more effective, and permission has been granted by the Russian government to establish a perimeter to keep people out of these areas under the guise of military operations. Should any organism displaying traits consistent with SCP-610 be sighted near this perimeter, then the established protocol requires it be engaged at range with small arms until immobile, then dispatched using incendiary weapons and munitions from a greater distance as possible. Any living thing coming in physical contact with an organism infected with SCP-610 is considered expendable, and is to be immediately terminated and incinerated.
Yo.
Any persons coming within 3 meters of SCP-610 infected life are to immediately withdraw from the area, be isolated from the rest of their team, and subjected to medical examination using only remote techniques to determine if infection has occurred, and appropriate steps taken based on that determination. The known infection vectors for SCP-610's spread seem to be focused on physical contact. Drone movements within heavily infected areas have returned air samples containing minute particulate, which when exposed to organic compounds will result in the spread of SCP-610. The results of these particular tests have revealed that most require several days to manifest, if at all, with...
So mind you, SCP Foundation eliminates SCPs as a last resort. Yeah, so the fact that they're doing that, that's a high level threat, bro. Like shit. If that's what they think about off the rip, then there's no thought that they are a threat. They said Keter, right? Keter's pretty...
With the exception of direct contact with exposed lung and liver tissue, these particular tests show a rapid rate of growth, which requires incineration of the testing environment no more than 24 hours after initial exposure, with even a 2-hour mishap risking a compromised facility event. Given that this kind of rapid growth only occurs in organic material existing outside the human body, this form of infection is currently considered a minor concern. These peculiarities have given rise to a series of questions regarding the possible origin of the infection in conjunction with the failed containment protocol remains at a scorched earth policy at this time, and no concern for transmission via water or air at infection parameters exists, barring situational changes in the field. Addendum SCP-610 Lima 1. After establishing the containment perimeter for SCP-610, the Russian government approved a request to research and investigate the area. For the first such exploration, a small camera-mounted unit known as Herbie was dispatched at a safe distance and directed towards Site A. Herbie has a battery life of 12 hours and a control range far wider than that required for this dispatch. Herbie is able to enter Site A without incident. The landscape around Site A shows early stages of assimilation by singular SCP-610 infected who have fallen at largely random intervals around what remains of the village. Many of the homes appear to have suffered fire damage long since put out. However, a fair amount remains intact. Aerial reconnaissance of Site A confirmed via thermal imaging has put it at an estimated population of 79 infected. Immobile infected are included in this number. However, it is difficult to ascertain an exact...
I don't know why I'm even bringing this up. Like some Resident Evil shit, bro. Like, I feel like it's like Resident Evil 4. I'm just Leon traversing through the town, bro. Everybody just infected and shit.
Exact percentage of mobile versus immobile. Varying degrees of physical
the
mutation
village,
due to SCP-610 are present in Site A, and it is assumed that all the inhabitants are in advanced stages of infection. Herbie observed the exterior of the village for 2 hours, during which time all infected behaved with what appeared to be a loose sense of social structure. Because Herbie remained stationary during this observation period...
Yes, biohazard, yeah, that's probably really what I'm trying to talk about. I think that was 7? Whatever, some shit, but... Oh my gosh, that shit. I barely played it. Man, that shit was mad scary, low key. That shit was annoying as shit, bro. They was honestly whack in my opinion, bro.
It is unknown precisely what each individual infected person was doing. However, the Central Plaza experienced occasional bursts of activity and downtime. Requiring more information, Herbie was directed to follow an infected as it entered a home. There is a bumpy camera feed as Herbie scoots over the gravel behind the quickly shambling infected person. After entering the home, Herbie's camera was raised slowly so as not to draw attention. This action was either unnoticed or ignored. The infected person is watched from the doorway as it hobbles around the room and stops at each of the other visibly infected organisms. However, it appears to ignore the one under the table which, while not immobile, does not leave that area. What this creature was before infection is unclear. After lapping the table and repeating this procedure 3 times, the primary infected person known as Alpha henceforward stops at the bedridden infected known as Beta and proceeds to assault it with furious punches.
Damn.
Beta is unable to leave the bed for unknown reasons.
Yo, I think that's his mouth right there, bro. Look at this. I think it's his mouth right there, bro. He smacked the taste out of this man's mouth. God damn. Bro, I think bro, like he did the windmill shit. Like he was like bah, 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 bah. Yo. Smack the particles on his face, yo. God,
but is not completely immobile as it flails its arms in response to the beatings delivered by Alpha. After several sustained minutes of this beating...
He's Alpha. Oh, he big dog. Okay. Oh, he big dog. That's why he able to do that. So the Alpha can just beat on his look. That's crazy.
Piercing sound explodes from the area around Beta, who then proceeds to project a cloud of unknown matter into the air from its chest cavity. Alpha lingers in the cloud as it floats in the air around them, slowly descending to the ground. The unknown lifeform on the table aside Beta begins to twitch in an apparent seizure, and Alpha then laps the room twice more, stopping again at each infected organism, but still ignoring the one under the table, as well as Beta now. After these 2 laps, Alpha seats itself at the table and reaches out to position the 3 plates atop it as if setting a dinner set. After the plates are positioned, the facial tendrils extending from Alpha wiggle up and start to coil on one of the plates before tearing apart and separating. This is repeated at each plate. After each plate is filled with Alpha's flesh, it leaves the table and approaches Herbie, which is moved from Alpha's path. Alpha leaves the home, but Herbie's camera remains focused on the table. After several minutes, a group comprised of 6 to 7 infected enter the room from outside, still ignoring Herbie. Each infected shambles as if movement is difficult, jerking in locked steps or squirming in small ones. These infected all surround the table, and each take turns grabbing handfuls of the flesh substance left behind by Alpha, pressing it into whatever orifices on themselves they can. Some into their mouths, some into their chest, some behind their backs, some under their arms. When all the plates are empty, this group leaves.
It was like some Venom symbiote type shit. This shit nasty. Even though they're not even this nasty, but it's like, dude, like, this tentacle shit is freaking, oh my gosh.
Herbie remains here for several more minutes before retracting its camera and leaving. Immediately after leaving the home, Herbie collides with an object. Panning the camera around, the obstruction appears to be Alpha, whose facial tendrils are intermingling with another infected having similar mutations.
Are they kissing?
The impact is ignored, and the 2 infected part ways after several minutes. Herbie is then directed to explore more areas of the village.
Yeah, they started making out,
The remains of what appear to have been a store show signs of severe fire damage, as well as activity inside the building, which Herbie moves to investigate. Inside the store are several infected persons, most of whom are standing around. However, one is on the ground rolling back and forth over the space of approximately 0.3 meters and is ignored by the others. Herbie
Yes, I like some infected human flesh, please. Like, oh wait. Said pucker up. Said pucker up.
rolls under the divider separating the cashier area from the customer area and pans around behind the counter. The upper half of a person is protruding from a cellar door behind the counter. This person does not appear to be suffering from advanced infection and wears the garb of a Russian soldier. Herbie zooms the camera in to confirm identification, and it is noticed the eyes of this person are in constant movement, often focusing on Herbie. The rest of the soldier does not move. Herbie is directed to leave this area and proceeds to the back room. In this storage area, a large pile of bodies are stacked together. Some pieces of clothing are visible and appear to contain both military garb and everyday clothing. No facial features are discernible on any of the bodies due to the way they are stacked. Atop the bodies, an infected sits. appearing to have its lower parts fused to the pile, and with its upper half in a wild state of flailing and seizure. Approximately every 10 seconds, a burst of spores flies out the top of this infected which linger in the air. Herbie is directed to leave the building. After leaving this building, Herbie passes by the village well, surrounding which are a series of immobile infected all facing the well. The arms of each of these infected persons are stretched out, one in contact with the next, forming a perfect chain, save for one whose arms are down at its side. Herbie passes by this last infected to approach what appears to have been a town hall or mayor's office when the infected becomes mobile and snatches the rover up. Video feed from Herbie focuses on the face of the infected, which is strangely in perfect shape, given the condition of the rest of its body, which is horribly bloated. This infected was once a young girl from appearance, age estimated 10 to 12. Herbie is rolled side to side in its grip as its face stares motionless at the rover. The infected's face suddenly balloons in size and explodes outwards into a series of fleshy flaps that grip Herbie and draw it inside. Herbie's video feed terminates here. Herbie was considered lost at this point.
Nah, I thought it was going to turn into like the magic school. I was going to say, we finna go inside it now? Pause.
However, no one at control remembered to turn off the video feed, assuming it cut. 5 hours later, Herbie's video feed resumed, stationary and at a raised level pointing at the upper rim of the village well. The video feed contains some blur due to what appears to be a slimy film, which often oozes across the lens, but when not obscured, provides perfect quality recording. Herbie does not respond to any remote commands, but its video jerks back and forth from target to target, zooming in and out of its own accord. Video feed is cut manually, and all connections to Herbie's units are ordered erased.
Dang. Erased though?
Addendum SCP-610 Lima 2. During construction of the perimeter surrounding SCP-610...
They have flesh bears? Bro, imagine going in the woods and you see this bear with 4 other limbs. Or with 2 additional limbs. Bro, he already got... No matter... Bro, not even 2. Y'all see the legs here? He probably has... Whoa, he like a freaking bear tarantula, bro. Oh, no, bro. Best believe if I make it out alive, though, this will be my last day on the job. Y'all better pay me something, bro. He's coming. Yugi? Yugi bear? That boy been through some stuff, man.
Several Class D personnel were infected due to assaults from infected villagers or animals roaming the area, in addition to a number of infections as a result of escape attempts and careless behavior. Most of these infected personnel were immediately destroyed with flamethrowers. However, a small collection of infected were contained in cold storage units, which prolonged the inevitable progression of SCP-610's mutative properties. The decision was made to utilize some of these infected personnel as video relays and dispatch them into nearby sites. Due to the concern over loss of equipment as evidenced in SCP-610 Lima 1, all 3 subjects that were used in this manner were sent in with a single video system to Site C. Additional equipment issued for this dispatch include a 1-gallon container of gasoline, 3 emergency flares, 3 9mm pistols with 3 magazines of ammo each, and 3 single-serving food rations. The infected personnel were instructed to observe and avoid interaction with the infected villagers as long as possible. But should a situation arise where they are met with aggression or feel they are losing themselves to SCP-610's influence, they are free to kill as many infected villagers as they so choose and do as much damage to infected objects and property as possible while maintaining video feed. The intent of this order was to provide data of SCP-610 infected communities in a raid situation, so a plan of eradication could be better established. At the time of this expedition, Site C was suspected to be a possible origin point for SCP-610.
I know, there's some shit I dream about too, like random, bro. Very. I was like, this man, he put a lot of imagery into this, bro, cause what? He put a lot of thought into this dude. What the hell?
This expedition, Site C was suspected to be a possible origin point for SCP-610, having far fewer mobile infected than other sites, as well as structures which appear to have been laid over several times with the terraforming effects of the immobile infected. Dispatched Class D personnel, known henceforth as DI-1, DI-2 and DI-3, were directed to pay particular attention to anything that could be considered an origin point for SCP-610. The trek from our perimeter camp to Site C was uneventful. There is no evidence of any native animal.
So now I'm saying those would love an excuse to burn to run whole communities with no consequences. Oh, you mean like that'll be a good thing for him? Oh yeah. I ain't gonna lie, yeah. And they was probably be like, man, I want to do this before the world ain't turned to shit. I wanted to do this, man. So shit. Give me the lighter, bro. Give me the lighter. Give me the blowtorch. Give me whatever y'all need, bro. I would do it myself. I'll do the honors.
As Site C is approached, there is a noticeable rise in the temperature within the last 30 minutes of the trip that necessitates removal of the heavy cold-based coverings that were provided. The temperature rises again sharply at the entrance to Site C proper, which requires a further shedding of garments for fear of heat stroke. Site C is described as being heavily humid and around 32 degrees Celsius. One of the first immediately noticed traits about Site C is an array of immobile pylons which encircle what is believed to be the entirety of the site. Separated by an apparent distance of 5 to 6 meters, each pylon appears to be 2 to 4 infected persons fused together in one spot. On some of these pylons, features such as faces or anuses are still visible, in addition to several other holes which do not naturally occur, all appearing to act as heat vents. Where the heat is generated is unknown. Current belief is that this is an advanced stage of SCP-610 terraforming its environment to facilitate spread of itself. DI-2, who was furthest along in progression of SCP-610 of the three by a number of hours, begins to seizure after only a few minutes in Site C during examination of the pylons. The progression to the scar tissue phase of SCP-610 infection is observed in full course as DI-2 spasms on the ground, his entire body being overtaken by the sickly tan flesh almost entirely after 45 seconds. DI-2 is terminated by a gunshot from DI-1 and his equipment left where it is. The spread of SCP-610 over DI-2 continues even after death of the body until all movement ceases. As Perimeter Control is relaying new instructions to DI-1 and DI-3 regarding this situation, there is a shift in the ground covering in Site C where DI-2's body is. Video feed shows the ground covering splitting open beneath his body, and a series of ropey tendrils coming from within the gap to pull his corpse inside. This opening...
Nah, man. Where are you going, to hell? Nah, man. Why are they pulling you down? What the hell is this? What is this?
Closes up quickly. Total time elapsed, 3 seconds. As DI-1 and DI-3 decide to act quickly in these hotter temperatures, fearing the same fate, they proceed to the village centre and encounter another previously unknown phenomenon. In the precise centre of town, rising above what was the community well, is a sphere, suspended by angled supports, composed of SCP-610 flesh. This ball is riddled with the features of humans in early stages of SCP-610 infection, as well as a good number assumed to be in the later stages. A number of specimens of non-human life forms such as deer and bears are also visible within the mass. The entire sphere of flesh pulses at roughly a 5-second interval, and with each pulse emits a ring of spore-like material from its equator.
I don't know what to say, bro.
This material floats to the ground and appears to be absorbed into the converted environment. DI-3 begins to douse the sphere with the provided gasoline, and when questioned by a panicking DI-1, explains this looks like as good a thing as any to burn. At this point, Perimeter Control has ceased giving commands due to the rapid deterioration of events. There is no reaction from anything within Site C to any of this activity until the precise moment at which a lit emergency flare is applied to the spherical mass, which immediately goes up in flames. The remote feed plays back a noise from an unknown location that seems to come from a location far outside of Site C, but was reported as being heard even at Perimeter Control by both Site C and A. This noise is described as both explosive, as if multiple high-yield charges were detonated on a mountainside, and alive, like a large feral creature roaring. Within 15 seconds following this sound's dissipation, Site A reported that a series of explosions had occurred within the village. 5 seconds after this report, the spherical mass in the middle of Site C explodes. DI-1 and DI-3 are thrown by the blast. DI-3 is confirmed deceased by DI-1 after regaining his footing, having suffered injury from stone shrapnel from the well. DI-1 is able to report he has bruises and ringing ears, but aside from the rapidly spreading SCP-610 infection, he suffered no blast damage. During this recording of footage, DI-1 had his video equipment removed and was looking into it. Due to the angle of recording, It is unknown precisely what occurred in Site
nasty,
C,
bro.
but something draws DI-1's attention
Look like Red Skull, bro.
back to the center of town, where he stares for several moments, then is pulled in the opposite direction, the video equipment falling to the ground and recording in a skyward direction. The last moments of footage from DI-1's video unit display a humanoid figure moving through the air, followed by the sound of an impact in the same direction. Within 3 seconds of this event, an unknown creature steps upon the recording video equipment and destroys it. Perimeter control remained on high alert for a full 24 hours at all locations without any incident following this event. Addendum SCP-610 Lima 3. The destruction caused by the rapid collapse of the Site C exploration attempt during SCP-610 Lima 2 resulted in a series of unexpected events in Site A. As the strange spherical formation in Site C was burned and destroyed, the SCP-610 infected inhabiting Site A were recorded by aerial drones going into seizures and convulsions. The immobile SCP-610 infected rapidly shriveled and died, along with all of the flesh material spread across inanimate objects within the village. The mobile SCP-610 infected who were able to regain their footing all proceeded to what appears to have formerly been an upper-class residence and entered the building. As the infected entered this dwelling, it suffered a foundational collapse, revealing the presence of a sinkhole beneath it. The size of the hole in relation to the structure above it posed an impossibility for an entire building to collapse, suggesting something within the hole applied force directly to the structure with the intent to pull it inside and expose the hole. The revealed hole is approximately large enough to accommodate 3 grown men standing shoulder to shoulder. Light sources applied by remote drones fail to penetrate further than 4 meters depth into the hole. Objects dropped into the hole do not produce an impact sound, suggesting a bottom potentially more than 1,000 meters down. Research of the exterior of the Site A hole was only able to be carried out for 2 hours' time. Samples of the atmosphere in Site A indicated a complete death of SCP-610 related materials. All infectious life that did not evacuate into the hole died above ground and quickly became shriveled husks. Manned exploration of Site A was approved and commenced immediately. In the span of 30 minutes, a total of 3 research teams consisting of 2 to 3 research staff and 4 to 5 armed escorts each were dispatched and set up stations within the remains of the village. Samples of deceased SCP-610 infected and converted matter were sent back to Perimeter HQ for processing and transport. One team was able to recover a small sample of still living SCP-610 tissue from a building and pack it for research. Within the second hour of exploration of Site A, a series of echo reverberation units were set up surrounding the hole with the intent of getting an accurate mapping of the hole and possible branch tunnels. At the end of this second hour, before the echo units could be activated, seismic activity began to occur within Site A. 2 teams of the original 3 remained on site, the third en route back to the Perimeter HQ with samples. The third team was instructed to proceed back to Perimeter HQ when seismic activity began and was told that
knocked hard as heck.
Team was instructed to proceed back to Perimeter HQ when seismic activity began and was told that Site A should not be returned to for assistance. Seismic activity at Site A capped at a 2.3 Richter level before petering off. Immediately following the seismic event, a torrent of SCP-610 spores erupted from the hole and layered the area around it for a span of 50 meters, as all staff on site were in Level A hazardous material.
So let's say physical. It's not like, I mean, the spores, if you smell the spores, you might get infected. That's why they got those on, but like, they said physical contact. That kind of does count as physical contact.
Material suits. This spore burst was startling, but did not lead to any infection. Staff on site were in Level A hazardous material suits. This spore burst was startling, but did not lead to any infections. As the eruption was being reported, both teams at Site A came under attack from aerial lifeforms infected with SCP-610. These organisms were captured by the remote drone video equipment and showed extremely advanced stages of infection. It is impossible to tell what they mutated from to this present state. Many of the avian creatures attacked by splitting their heads in half and clamping them against research members, pulling them into the air and dropping them into the hole when possible. These avian infected proved vulnerable to small arms fire.
I quit. I'm generally just walking off. I quit. You think I want to do this? They probably don't even get paid enough for this. I quit. What? This is not a normal day of work. No, man.
In dispatching them, a total of 2
I forgot what is a BBL jacket.
We can talk about that tomorrow, okay? It's not right
Is
now.
it like a thin
Not right now.
or sweater?
Not right now. Something like that, yeah.
avian infected proved vulnerable to small arms fire. In dispatching them, a total of 2 research staff were lost due to the hole and 1 injured due to crossfire. The injured staff was put down immediately upon showing signs of infection due to his suit breach. Before video and radio contact was lost with the remaining teams inside Site A, a second seismic event began to occur, starting out in the 1 to 1.5 range in scale. Attention was directed at the hole to prepare for a second assault. A second spore burst erupted from the hole during the rising seismic activity. At the point where scales registered a 3 to 3.5 in force, a new unseen SCP-610 entity began to emerge from the hole. The only footage captured of this creature depicts an engorged human head, approximately 20 times larger than normal, pressing itself out of the hole with no discernible body. Video and radio contact were lost as seismic forces increased to 7.
Y'all know what happened to them. There's no way they survived. He probably got to be the most OP'est one. Is that you, Aaron Yeager? Bro, I thought that was a Titan, bro. I really thought that was a Titan. I'm like, I thought it was going to be like a, you know, Power Ranger with the Megazoids. They're like huge Megazoids. I thought it was going to be something like that. What the heck? That's crazy, man.
On the scale for 2 seconds duration, then abruptly ceased. Further aerial surveillance of the Site A hole and area depicts 0 activity and no traces of the research team or their ever having been there. All personnel and equipment are considered lost.
No trace at all? What kind of powers does he have? He probably just fully vaporized them. They got no type of trace of them at all. Like, really no trace at all? Like, so you tell me he vaporized them in coverage checks? I don't know how. All questions can't be answered at this point.
Addendum SCP-610 Lima 4. Events regarding the discovery, research and handling of SCP-610 rapidly degraded to a point where fail-safe options were being considered. For over 1 hour, nothing further had happened at Site A following the loss of the research teams during the seismic events in the SCP-610 Lima 3 Addendum and subsequent contact with previously unseen SCP-610 lifeforms. With the absence of activity at Site A, a remote drone dispatch was authorized in 2 parts. The first part would drop a remote relay device at the entrance to the Site A sinkhole, and the second part would dispatch a drone into the hole directly to relay its data to the remote relay for transmission back to HQ. Drones on site were powered by solar energy, with a battery maintaining a 4-hour charge. Attached is the video log recovered from the Site A sinkhole drone before its loss. Video feed activates. A researcher's face is seen looking into the camera, applying a polishing cloth to the
You're a little too close, buddy. I thought this was Lex Luthor or something.
lens.
This is explorative drone RSCP-610-1 coming online. Systems check out. Video confirmed. Feed is good to relay station. We are testing rotors now and deploying if successful.
The sound of a helicopter blade starts up as the video feed begins to lift into the air. The camera tilts left to right to test the pan features, then directs itself towards the Site A sinkhole.
Video feed is go. Engines are go. Links are green. Alright, sending drone down now.
Audio from the outside world fades away as the camera angles itself down and peers into the darkness within the sinkhole. After approximately 2 minutes of descent, lights on the drone activate and illuminate a roughly dug shaft. Initially, it is unclear what could have created the hole, but at a glance, it would appear the shaft was created by a single event, rather than dug out over time. At 15 meters descent, there are traces of SCP-610 material attached to the dirt and stuck to the rocks. The material is dormant, but retains its texture and appearance, unlike samples from above ground level, which shrivel and die rapidly. There is a possible connection with this material and the events last recorded during the SCP-610 Lima-3 Addendum. Descent continues. At 100 meters in depth, branch tunnels become visible in the walls of the sinkhole. Panning of the camera reveals small tunnels branching out at apparently random intervals, but which are not restricted to any one side of the tunnel. These tunnels are considered too small for any useful exploration to occur.
Sure.
Descent continues.
That bottom, isn't that same? That's the same place where the head came out of. So they're really trying to go down to the. You trying to go down to the boss's lair? I mean, they're not going there by themselves. They kind of have to scope it out. But damn, this bottom layer gonna be crazy, boy.
Increase in density of SCP-610 materials on the
I don't know why
walls
I just
is
thought about
noted
that.
as depth increases. At 250 meters, the bottom of the sinkhole becomes visible, and the tunnel slopes sharply, suggesting unnatural formation, which was already suspected. The drone video shifts to illuminate this tunnel, and the drone proceeds forwards through the area. SCP-610 coats the entirety of the tunnel now, and care is taken to keep the drone from coming into contact with any surface. Movement is detected 5 meters ahead, lights on the drone are dimmed, and weapons come online. The SCP-610 drone is equipped with a 5.56mm machine gun containing 50 rounds of ammo. This is meant to be used to deter wildlife away from the drone and defend against aggression when possible, rather than to dispatch a target, although it is fully capable of handling human aggressors in small groups. Camera focus turns to the moving mass of
Oh my
flesh 3
gosh.
meters ahead. After focus clears, the movement appears to be coming from what appears
Yo, they done massacre my boy. Oh my gosh. Got his mouth open and everything. He got took. Oh my god.
to be a deer, uninfected, wriggling in the grips of tendrils composed of SCP-610 material. The deer is being suspended above the ground with unclear intent. The drone is moved past the trapped deer while holding it in view of the camera until safely away. Nothing occurs with the deer, and the drone proceeds past undisturbed. The previously fairly level ground of the tunnel displays large humps in apparently random placement 5 meters ahead of the drone, 30 meters past the encountered deer. Upon approach, these lumps turn out to be similar to the infected villagers who escaped from Site A into the sinkhole after the destruction of Site C. The sound of rushing water is now detected and the drone is pushed forward. 100 meters further into the tunnel, and the sound of running water is now deafening. Drone lights reveal a running stream of water potentially from one of the adjacent rivers in the area. A sample vial is placed into the water, allowed to collect, and then released with an active tracking beacon. Later recovery of this sample indicates no SCP-610 contamination of groundwater. The tunnel splits in two at this point. One tunnel leads around the river and then seems to slope downward, while the other is directly above a light source in the ceiling. This second one is selected to facilitate recovery of the drone. 300 meters of upwards travel taking approximately 45 minutes results in the drone emerging into a windy section of the mountain where it is directed to stay low. Camera panning of the area reveals what may have once been a village, long since abandoned. The precise location is unclear, but it is assumed to have been in the vicinity of Site B, judging from estimates in travel by the drone. The buildings here are coated in deceased layers of SCP-610, and unlike other buildings in Site A and Site C, which were coated in SCP-610, these buildings appear to be constructed directly from the tissue substance.
Oh damn, yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, yeah, that actually looks like it's formed by their flesh. They can make their own places now. They yeah.
After a cursory scan of Site B, it is determined there is no life here, either natural or SCP-610 related, so the drone is directed back into the tunnel, as the winds around the area make aerial recovery impossible. Upon descent into the tunnel, a deep roaring sound fills the audio and video feed becomes choppy, as something blocks the signal. During the periods in which connection to the drone is clearest, its camera and weapons are angled downward, and propellers slow in speed to allow a faster descent. The video feed becomes entirely clear for the final 2 minutes before feed is lost. Rushing up towards the drone from the area below is what appears to be a large human face, stretched to 20 times its proportions with no features save those created by the SCP-610 material. There are eye sockets but no eyes, a mouth but no teeth. The drone fires upon this rushing mass of SCP-610.
Boy, he's eating them bullets. Literally.
But the bullets do not deter it. Impact points remain invisible for several seconds before closing over themselves. There is no room in the tunnel for the drone to take evasive action, and it is swallowed by the mass. SCP-610 is considered lost until 3 hours later, when the video feed inexplicably returns. The video feed from the drone appears to show a series of structures illuminated by the light on the drone. The camera pans around without instructions from the remote relays or HQ, capturing a vast number of shambling entities within the area. SCP-610 material moves over the lens of the drone and the video feed is permanently severed. Addendum: SCP-610 Lima 5. Approval from Central HQ was granted for a manned assault excursion into the tunnels beneath Site A to try to ascertain the extent of the SCP-610 infection. The destruction of Site A and Site C have established SCP-610 can be contained and destroyed, making the source of the infection top priority. The initial descent into the tunnels consists of 5 teams, 2 research and 3 assault, along with enough equipment to establish an underground base of operations. Descent into the tunnels was established using pulley systems and a lift to move equipment. Assault teams were the first to descend, armed with flame units to clear SCP-610 out of the area. All teams were able to descend without incident, and flame units took point, providing an undisturbed journey towards the water source, where the RSC...
See, I don't know why they go. I don't know why you're even trying to go down there, even if y'all not going all the way down. Why are you taking a risk? That mouth, that face, whatever that was, I'm not taking. No, he's probably coming up as he's. Watch. I don't want to whistle on him, but he might come up there and swallow them up. Pause.
SCP-610 drone was lost. The base camp for underground SCP-610 operations resides at the bottom of a 3-way junction, 4 if the water flow is included. The first pathway is that which led from Site A to Cavern HQ. The second is the pathway to the ruined village residing in the mountains above where SCP-610 was destroyed by a large unknown SCP-610 entity. The third pathway heads west and seems to follow the flow of water for an unknown distance. The cavern area here is quite large and is supported by a number of rock formations that are coated with decayed SCP-610 material. The state of this material suggests great age and appears to reinforce the structural supports. Whether this is intentional or coincidental is unknown. The 2 research teams split activities between building Cavern HQ and collecting samples of SCP-610 in various states. No contagious materials were detected within this area, and the creature recorded by unmanned drones did not appear at any point to the cavern staff. Of the 4 research teams, 3 were ordered to proceed down the unexplored pathway while an aerial drone was prepped for a second recon of the vertical shaft. The SCP-610 infection did not appear in the third pathway until approximately 3 kilometers in, and serious infection did not appear until 16 kilometers in. Even after the lengths travelled by the assault teams, no SCP-610 infectious lifeforms were encountered, and the fleshy material coating the cavern walls posed no threat to the team. The most significant reports at this time were the increasing thickness of material, suggesting a source, and the complete lack of SCP-610 contamination in the water. As a test, a sample of SCP-610 was cut away from the cavern wall and placed in the flow of water. It exhibited no unusual reactions, but was quickly swept away by the current. At 20 kilometers in, the leader of the assault teams requested a transport buggy be dispatched to them. One was available in the above-ground HQ, however it would take time to move it to Cavern HQ and then remote drive it to the teams. Rations provided to the assault teams were sufficient, so a camp was established while the buggy was moved and readied. During this time, an aerial drone was also sent to explore the vertical shaft. The results of this exploration were placed on hold with the arrival of the buggy at Cavern HQ and
He talking to Editor Row right now. Editor Row, this is for you. Put a sleep cap on this man. I asked him it up. Like, I ain't gonna lie, like 10 minutes ago, maybe like 15. I was low key out. Yeah. I'm about to put a sleep in, yeah. Call me in 4K, man.
ultimately concluded in document. The buggy was navigated to the assault team encampment with no events en route. However, upon arrival and preparation to continue the exploration, the assault teams came under attack by a number of large SCP-610 infected lifeforms that emerged from the area ahead of them. Video recovered from the assault team cameras shows them caught off guard as the SCP-610 infected made no sound and were undetectable. On one film, for 1 to 2 seconds, it appears that some of the creatures are coming out of the SCP-610 material on the walls, not emerging from them so much as being created by the material and then breaking away to act independently. During this assault, in an attempt to protect the buggy, members were lost to the water currents and contact with them was lost. The remainder of the assault team now consisted of 3 members armed with a single flame unit. Use of this unit to repel the assault proved vital, as standard firearms did minimal damage to the infected creatures. These infected creatures show minimal traits to associate them with any known form of life in the region, giving rise to the belief they may have been spawned by the SCP-610 infection itself as a form of defense. No further casualties were suffered during the raid, and the remaining members managed to eliminate all attacking infected, allowing them to continue with exploration, with added orders to attempt to locate lost team members. A further 20 kilometers into the tunnel, the river separated from the tunnel pathway, and the team was instructed to abandon the recovery order, given the inability to navigate the water safely. A total time of passed before the remaining assault team reached an end in the tunnel. At the perimeter of the area now known as Site B, the team came under assault again from a smaller number of SCP-610 that were much larger in size. These infected appeared in the tunnel as if they were lying in wait for the approaching team. These creatures were dispatched using the flame unit, although all fuel for the unit was expended in this act. The assault team was now limited to standard weapons and short-range personal flame units. A time-lapse of 5 minutes is allowed to pass before the team proceeds further into Site B. Cautious of further assaults by SCP-610 infected, the tunnel widens out into what appears to have once been a village of indeterminate age. The construction of the buildings in this area are primitive compared to the settlements at Site A and Site C, and are of clearly human construction. Many buildings rest at angles or slants, suggesting they were disturbed by a cave-in. Of interest is a building that appears to be a church with a working clock tower. This building is built atop the remains of 2 older buildings that have fallen completely and has a visibly stable foundation. Surrounding all structures in this area is a depression in the ground filled with a substance resembling a liquefied form of SCP-610 fleshy materials. The pool moves as if acted upon by minute and unseen forces, rippling outward from invisible contact points and rolling in waves from unfelt winds. The team avoids this pool at all times and proceeds through the ruins slowly on stable foundations where possible, making the church their target area. Within the church are pews, as would be expected. However, there are only 4, one of them shattered, when the building could accommodate as many as 20. The 3 intact pews are arranged in a 2-1 formation facing a pulpit. There is no trace of dust on any surface, the entire area appearing to be immaculately clean given the location and believed age. Behind the pulpit is a hole in the floor, exposing an area of the SCP-610 pool beneath the building.
I'm thinking of something else.
The church and ruins appear to be uninhabited, and exploration of the church proper is uneventful until the clock tower bell tolls. This tolling triggers a shudder in the building, followed by human screams from the ceiling.
Yikes.
Lights shone upon the ceiling reveal a large mass of SCP-610, from which descend a series of 6 wooden circles. Strapped to each circle is a living human coated entirely from neck to toe in SCP-610, but having an exposed head which appears uninfected. These human captives scream as the bell continues to toll and the circles move to the ground. The team begins to move toward
weird though, it said his head's exposed.
Exposed head which appears uninfected.
Yeah, why? They usually don't even spare the head at all, so that's... He behind all this? I don't know. It probably is not even close at all.
These human captives scream as the bell continues to toll and the circles move to the ground. The team begins to move towards one to investigate, when an unknown creature cries from outside the building, prompting them to take cover in shadows near the pulpit. The team extinguishes their light sources, pitching the entire area into darkness. Their night vision is left off to avoid revealing the team's location. Sounds continue to emit from outside the church, drawing closer but lower than the frantic screams of the captive humans. At least one noticed the team, as the captive humans often call out to be saved. From the entrance to the church, a candle lights on the side of the door, then one on the other side. A figure is seen holding a small torch and moving back and forth between a series of candles to light the doorway. The flame is then applied to a rope, coated in SCP-610, which quickly ignites and spreads up to a peculiar chandelier system at the church entrance. The light from this system illuminates most of the crosses, but does not reach the team's hiding place. From outside the church, a flood of SCP-610 infected shamble quickly into the area, ignoring the man who lit the candles and stands in the middle of the room. They proceed to the captives on the wooden circles and begin to pull at the SCP-610 masses, resulting in further screams and cries. From what can be gathered from the returned video feed, the SCP-610 mass seems to be connected to the captives and is using them as a source of sustenance that it then uses to grow and feed the normal SCP-610 infected. Overly zealous infected tear at the mass too hard, which results in pulling skin and tissue from the human captive beneath. This exposed area is quickly covered over by the mass, which then grows in size.
So like,
Feeding like this continues for
anything is exposed, you're just done for. Like, if you, so you're saying if I cut myself a little bit, and instead of me just getting a band-aid, like, you know, after I clean my wound and all that, I'm just cooked. Like, I just gotta like mutate into something atrocious. Like, you can't even expose a little bit of a cut. Not saying I would honestly, but like, it's just like, damn, for real? Like, how?
approximately 6 minutes, at which time the candle-bearing figure sounds a gong and all infected entities move to the pews. There are several more creatures than seats, but none move past the frontmost pews. The figure who sounded the gong does not move, spontaneously collapsing as if made from hollow clay. From the pulpit area, activity is noted as a pillar of SCP-610 flesh rises through the hole and extends, directing itself towards the gathered creatures. No sound is heard and no motion is recorded once the pillar stops moving. This silent period persists for 10 minutes without even the human captives making a sound, having fallen silent at an unknown point. The pillar of SCP-610 retracts back into the hole it emerged from without any warning, prompting the departure of the infected from the building. The candles remain lit and the team emerges after all infected appear to leave the area. The descended captives remain at ground level as well, all screaming seeming to have ceased, but still showing signs of life with heavy breathing and movement. Upon departure from the church, camera feeds from all 3 members become erratic. Camera 1 ceases transmitting
Y'all about to die in there, man. I don't.
completely. Camera 2 shoots straight up into the air for several meters, and camera 3 captures the member with camera 2 being flung by a tendril that emerges out of the ground itself.
Yeah, bro. That one over there, bro. Bro, they go impale somebody with that extra limb. They just got one extra limb on the back of their. That's so interesting, bro. I don't even think I'll be able to fight these things one on one though. That's kind of dangerous. Cause first of all, you can't touch them. You gotta have at least a melee weapon or just a gun. Cause you can't really throw some hands with something like this though. Cause I think I'm good. You got too many weapons, bro, on your body.
Swinging them out of sight onto the other side of the ruins. Camera 1's feed is restored and displays camera 3's owner running briefly in the direction of the lost team member, only to turn and run back as SCP-610 infected pour from between the buildings. Combat ensues between the 2 members and the onrushing infected using assault rifles and personal flame units, successfully driving back enough of the horde to make an escape towards the buggy. Passing by a building, Camera 1's owner is ambushed by a figure resembling the figure who was in the church lighting candles, wielding a large crop scythe. Camera 3's owner continues without pause towards the buggy location, however the buggy is found half absorbed by the SCP-610 mass covering the floor. While turning to find another way of escape, Camera 3's owner turns to find the same figure with the scythe approaching weapon raised. 2 shots are fired, and the camera feed ends.
Now you know he did. Come on, man. This is the freaking Grim Reaper. What do you expect to do against him? Come on, what did you expect, bro? Come on, look at this. If I see this, bro, you gotta just. I'm done. In GTA.
Camera 3's owner continues without pause towards the buggy location, however the buggy is found half absorbed by the SCP-610 mass covering the floor. While turning to find another way of escape, Camera 3's owner turns to find the same figure with the scythe approaching weapon raised. 2 shots are fired, and the camera feed ends.
Y'all know what happened to him, bro. That boy got put in a combo, man.
5 hours later, while final decisions were underway to decide how to contain or eradicate the SCP-610 threat, time-delayed video feed from the lost team members who fell into the underground river currents was established and has been filed in Addendum SCP-610 Lima 6. So what actually is SCP-610? Well, it may surprise you to know that there is actually not one, but 2 answers to that question. Let's first explore the most likely and the most simplest answer. The SCP-610 is little more than a very dangerous and very contagious skin disease as described in the main file. Its origins are a complete mystery, and other than infecting other life forms and attempting to spread the infection further, there is no greater story to this anomaly. At least, not one that we the reader are given. The final redacted addendum in the SCP-610 file is titled Operation Sourcepoint. Now I would argue it is safe to assume that in this redacted file, those agents who fell into the underground river found the source of the SCP-610 infection. However, given that the file is redacted and SCP-610 is classed as Keter and not neutralized, the agents failed to deal with the SCP-610 infection, and whatever it is they found was so terrible that the O5 Council decided the information contained in that file should not be read by anyone with lower than Class A authorization. Given what we already know about the infection, I'm referring to those human captives being held up in the church, maybe the SCP-610 infection is more embedded in human society than we are aware of. Maybe there are hundreds of captive humans down there. Maybe that is where the dead go after they are buried and forgotten. Or maybe the infection is much bigger in scale than we thought, and it has grown to become a huge portion of the Earth's crust. But something that we can safely infer about Operation Sourcepoint that is supported from what we know in the main file is that there would have been another one of those big old meatballs on stilts we saw in the second exploration file. In that file, once the meatball was destroyed by the infected D-Class, all the infected flesh above ground began to die and decay. Evidently, the meatball acts as a relay, sort of like a biological antenna, to maintain the connection and the control of the flesh by whatever is controlling it. The few survivors that did manage to escape retreated down a sinkhole into a vast...
If y'all seen that, that was crazy. What the Bro, oh yeah, man. Christ.
...it. The few survivors that did manage to escape retreated down a sinkhole into a vast network of tunnels. Assumedly then, there was either another meatball somewhere down there, or the flesh was then close enough to the source point of the infection that a relay device was no longer necessary. All that adds up to the near certainty that while we will never know what happened during Operation Sourcepoint, it was certainly bad, it couldn't be dealt with, and it was something that needed to be covered up under layers of secrecy. Now, if we take a step back to...
Y'all keep stuff like that a secret? I ain't gonna lie, you gotta tell everybody something like that, bro, because I don't think I would want to be kept out of the loop on some shit like this. I want to know, bro. Before it just hits you out of nowhere, you don't even know how to prepare yourself. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess, I don't know. I don't know how far they're talking about in secrecy, but... Man, the whole team gotta know this, man.
Further analyze what we do know, there are some key interesting things we are informed about in the final exploration log. I am of course talking about the church and the hooded figure. We saw in the first exploration log where we lost the drone Herbie, always in our hearts, man. Gone but not forgotten, rip her.
Ah, damn. Choked on a protein ball. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know how I did, but I did.
Herbie, that the flesh retains some of their human behavior. We see them sleeping, praying, eating, kissing, and a case of behavior. We see them sleeping, praying.
I mean, yeah. But it's like, there's no way you can even tell what they're saying. They're just doing it.
Eating, kissing, and a case of domestic abuse, in fact. So a group of them going to church is not so hard to believe. Now, this could just be an echo of their humanity, or it's possible the infection is trying to understand and mimic human life in some way. On the other end of the spectrum, maybe that's all complete hogwash and they just have their own fleshy church meetings. The human battery farm they've got going on, though, is not typical of most church dues. It's likely the infection that covers the humans but is not converting them is drawing some kind of life energy from the humans while keeping them alive. Why the infection consumes the flesh, though, is unknown. Maybe for sustenance, maybe as part of the ritual, but then that would bring into question how the flesh from Site A and C were able to survive without human victims. Unless, of course, the meatballs and the pylons are transporting nutrients up to them as well. The file does describe the meatballs spewing out some spore-like substance periodically. This would add more credence to my earlier theory on the significance of the meatballs being a key source of control for the infected, and why they all quickly began to decay once the meatball was destroyed. Then again, maybe it's just unique to the messed up church ritual. The final oddity is the hooded figure. We only see them a couple of times, and I struggle to find another way of describing them other than a shepherd of sorts, given how they are able to influence what the flesh does by sounding that gong it carries. They are mute, and obviously anomalous, given that they can just fall apart into nothing at their discretion. Maybe the hooded figure is the architect behind the whole thing, an anomaly that made SCP-610 as part of a sick experiment, or perhaps it is just a messed up being that wanted to play God and create life.
That's what I'm thinking, because there's no way you actually have there's no way you have good intentions of you doing stuff like this. I don't believe it, bro. There's not a good enough reason where you can convince me where it's like, okay, I see where he's coming from. I genuinely don't think I could be convinced. I can't.
Used humanity as a template. Or maybe it's just a pawn for something much greater. So many possibilities and questions that will likely never be answered. But on the subjects of church, religion, and godly beings and doings, that leads us nicely from the first possible explanation of what is SCP-610 to the second. This one is far greater in scope, but is unsubstantiated. I will explain. Have you ever heard of sarcasm? It was a group of interest introduced to the SCP community about 5 years after.
Is that a hot dog? We got a glizzy as one of the leaders. Bro, mind you, it's a hot dog with a wig. Look at it. It has a wig. What kind of lineup is this?
The SCP-610 was written. If you want to know more about the extended lore and the fine details on sarcasm, I would greatly encourage you to watch the sarcasm video made by Exploring Series, as he has done a deep dive on them. For the purposes of this video, all you really need to know is that sarcasm is a religion governed by the teachings of its founder. The official file states that the members of sarcasm practice ritual cannibalism, human sacrifice, corporeal augmentation, thaumaturgy, dimensional manipulation, and the formation of pacts with otherworldly entities. It also says that organic manipulation has allowed certain sarkites to achieve anomalous states of being, transcending the physical limitations of baseline humans. Basically, they are an anomalous group that finds divinity and transcendence in the power of flesh. Anyway, the religion often refers to something called the Red Death, and it is implied that SCP-610 is the Red Death. It is widely accepted within the SCP community that SCP-610 is a weapon of sarcasm, the ultimate weapon in some cases. Now, I have heard that in some regards, SCP-2217 was kind of like an unofficial sequel to SCP-610. In this entry, the infection was grounded firmly within the sarcasm mythos. In this SCP, the Sarkites use SCP-610 as a weapon to take control of a beach on a Greek island. The Sarkites' arch-enemy, the Church of the Broken God, then turned up to reclaim the island for the Church. This file also clearly demonstrates the animosity that exists between these two rival groups. But how does sarcasm tie into the SCP-610 file? Well, there are so many similarities. The hostility towards the drones, a nod to sarcasm's antipathy towards the machine, the huge human faces, a nod towards organic manipulation, the consumption of flesh as part of a church ritual, a nod towards ritualistic cannibalism and human sacrifice, and the hooded figure, a nod towards Sarkites who have achieved anomalous states of being. If you take the time to explore the various forums and related SCP tales that are out there, you will find even more similarities and references. However, the problem we face here is that while it is almost universally accepted by this point that SCP-610 in some way relates to sarcasm, this connection was established years after SCP-610 was written, and the author of SCP-610 hasn't come forward to confirm the connection or add a sarcasm tag to their work. So while we can all say yes, SCP-610 is a weapon of sarcasm, it was never written with the intention of being one. It was a connection that was established after the fact. So, what is SCP-610? Well, it depends on which of these explanations you want to believe. If you choose to believe only what the author intended, it's a contagious skin disease, and the juicy details of its origins contained within the redacted file are left up to your imagination. If you instead choose to go with what the community has adapted SCP-610 to be, then it is the Red Death of the Sarcasm religion and the arch nemesis.
Oh my gosh. I don't know what got into me. I promise I wasn't this. Wow. I apologize.
Then it is the Red Death of the Sarcasm religion and the arch nemesis of the Church of the Broken
This
God.
is crazy because, like, one of these things here just grew a conscience. Is that how it's just? Is that how it goes? Like, they grew a conscience. They just ended up having the most inside everybody. It's like, yeah, I'm the leader now. It's like, oh, y'all fucking stupid. I'm the leader. That's how it went. And then, where the fuck they get the clothes from? That's my question. Where did you get the clothes from? Everybody else is naked. You're the only one with clothes.
Of the Sarcasm religion and the arch nemesis of the Church of the Broken God. Check out this video for another great story, and please leave a like and subscribe if you may.
Give me that hot dog, bro. I still don't know how he's one of the leaders. How does he get implemented into the story? We never seen him this whole time. Bro just became the leader of the glizzies, bro. Like, what's up, bro? And mind you, look at his feet though. He has like 4 feet. We have a hot dog with 4 feet and a wig, and a blonde wig. Let me find out he got hands too, bro. Let me find out he got hands too. It feel like a Fortnite universe, bro. What the hell is this? I'm sorry, I did knocked out. Just for that, let's find a short one to watch. I tried to fight it, bro. I tried. It's at 30. Hell is this? This shit don't even got a name. Okay. We're reacting to dot.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Miller, and today is going to be a different kind of lecture. Anything you glean from it cannot be written down or discussed, starting now. We're going to be studying an SCP today, and so you understand the exact number I'm referring to, I'm going to send it in Morse code. Understand? Good. So, today, I'm gonna tell you a story. You can...
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know Morse code. Not much. I'm kind of not as knowledgeable. I can pick it up. I can pick up on it quick though, but it's been a while since I actually got into Morse code.
Connect the dots for yourself. I can't tell you anything beyond this, so don't bother asking. You all ready?
Okay. Let's do it, man.
Also, I'm gonna be using background music. All right.
What is at the top left, yo?
Once upon a time,
oh, it's one of these.
In the magical land of Foundaria, there was a little boy called Tiberius who lived in a castle. Tiberius was a bit of an outcast. He was very tall and didn't look like other little boys. His arms were huge and always seemed to be covered in sticky slime, and he could also magically walk through the walls of the castle.
Nah, he phased
As a result
through?
of this, he mostly just hid away in his room and never wanted to come out. But there were some things that would pique his attention. You see, Tiberius was a very curious boy. Anytime anyone spoke or wrote about it, he would come and visit them, and sometimes invite them back to his room so they could find out more about him. But only the rulers of the land and the people on the 4th floor of the castle even knew about Tiberius. Nobody else was deemed important enough. So, time went on and the king grew curious. In secret, the king ordered the people on the 4th floor to find out more about Tiberius. They gathered 2 domestic servants and sent them to the cellar and ordered them to perform simple tasks to find out more about their friend, Tiberius. The first servant, David, was given a piece of parchment and asked to write down what he saw on the wall next to him, which happened to be a drawing of Tiberius. midway through writing, David heard something behind him. He turned around and was shocked to see Tiberius standing right in front of him. Tiberius looked happy that someone was writing about him. So much so that he grabbed a piece of parchment, and as quick as he grabbed it, he disappeared, presumably right back to his room. David was scared, as he'd never seen anything quite like that before, and had to visit the castle apothecary to receive a memory-erasing potion. Because of this task, the king knew that he couldn't let anyone else see this drawing, because not everyone would want Tiberius stealing their parchments. The second servant, Damien, had a slightly different task
Oh,
than
look at
David.
the picture, yo.
He was to look at the same picture,
What
but
the
instead
heck?
of writing down what he saw, he was ordered to talk about it out loud, just like before. Midway through speaking, before Damien even got a chance to turn around, Tiberius magically appeared, grabbed Damien, and with a giggle and a smile, vanished, taking Damien with him, presumably back to his room. After this task, it is rumored that Damien went to live with Tiberius because no one ever saw him again. This was the last test that the king would.
You assuming he went to live with Tiberius? Go check his room. The nigga's probably dead. What did you do to Tiberius? He's talking about you. Yo, what? Was he talking bad about him? If he was sneak dissing him, I guess I kind of get it. But if he was saying good things about you, bro, I ain't gonna lie, that's kind of crazy, bro. That's kind of...
would ever ask anyone to participate in, because the king loved his people and didn't want them all moving to Tiberius's room and never coming back. In the end, it seemed like Tiberius was just lonely and wanted some friends, and after the king's tasks, it seemed he had a friend. But now, the tasks had been completed. The king knew everything he needed to know. All the drawings and parchments describing Tiberius were hidden away in the castle library, and he was never mentioned in the kingdom of Thundariel ever again.
That's really how it ends?
Okay, the story's over. You now know what you're supposed to know. I'm gonna say this one more time. Do not talk about what you think you know, or write about it. Although, I suspect if you really understood this story, you won't. Thank you all for listening, and you are all dismissed.
He said we can't assume what's going on, but come on, we can't. The story just feels, it feels like there's so many blanks to the story. It feels like there's something purposely left out, and I'm like, yeah, there's something going on here. Obviously something's going on, but it's just not getting to that part. It's just really giving us little vague stuff that's going on. They're not really expanding on everything. It's like, come on, bro, we know something fishy. So look at Tiberius right here, bro. Damn, you are snoring, dude. He has like a bag head. What is that supposed to be, like straws out of his head? Fisher, bro, throw a meat flesh out a little raw and infect him. How you want me to do that, bro? I'll edit a flying sausage shit. I'll make it work. I'll figure it out, bro. You probably will. Hey, look, as I'm talking right now, you probably will see a flying meat. I don't like that. Is it accurate or not, bro? That's pretty accurate, bro. I ain't gonna lie, it's pretty accurate. Look at this. It's pretty accurate to me. Y'all take care, be smooth, and God bless. I'm out.